Welcome to the short-term rental pacifier. I'm actually in Spain right now, so if it sounds a little bit different than normal, that's why. Today we're going to hit on the question, should I have a doorbell camera? Isn't that creepy? Personally, I think you should, and it doesn't have to be creepy. It can be creepy, but it doesn't have to be. I was actually back and forth on this until my cleaner called me one day and said, hey, there's dog hair, there's paw prints, there's some damage to your window coverings, and this was in one of the properties, but we were very, very clear that pets were not allowed. I think a quick side note, like I love most dogs and cats. It's like more the owners that I'm concerned about. I've also learned that when someone says my dog is very well behaved, that's usually a pretty subjective statement, very similar to the definition of my daughter's room being cleaned is often different for her than it is for me. But in this situation I'm talking about, this is actually one of my first short-term rentals, and I was still learning a lot. I had my cleaner send me the photos of the damage, as well as the photos that were timestamps of the property being cleaned prior to this guest checking in. So I sent those over to this guest and politely asked someone if someone in his group had brought a dog without him knowing. And I think it's always a good idea to kind of make it not their fault, but at the same time, make it their responsibility since their name is on the booking. But this guy got pretty defensive right off the bat, which is usually not the case. But when someone responds like that from a pretty softball kind of question, you have a choice. Like you're going to fight it or just let it go. And unfortunately, there's rarely like a one size fits all solution in situations like this. The problem for me here wasn't so much in proving he had a dog. That was actually pretty easy. We had the photos. Uh, it's the time. I mean, this whole podcast is about making STR investing as passive as possible, and it really is a headache trying to get Airbo or Verbo to cover those costs. And then additionally, do I really want to sacrifice a negative review for a $50 additional cleaning fee? I know Airbnb will go to the guest first, and which, by the way, this is all we have an episode about third party damage insurance for situations like this because of situations like this. In my case, I just chose to let it go. The property was newer to the market. I didn't have a lot of reviews yet. For me, risking a negative review over something relatively minor, in addition to the time it would take dealing with Airbnb, just wasn't worth it for me. So I bit my tongue. I told him I was just relaying what the cleaning crew had told me. I told him I believed him. And if he said there were no pets, then there were no pets. Followed that up with asking if everything was good during their stay. He said it was great. And I just responded asking him if there was anything that would prevent a 5-star review. He said there wasn't and that he would leave me one. In the end, I ended up getting that 5-star review, which I needed, but I did put in his review that there may have been a pet that I couldn't have proved it. So in this case, I got the 5-star review, but this is an issue. And whenever issues like this come up, really any issues, I'm a huge believer in asking the question, could this have been prevented? And in this case, it could have been. I decided to get a Ring camera on this property right after. And since then, it's a non-negotiable for every single one of my properties. And since then, I've had guests bring unauthorized pets, but when they do, it's significantly easier to deal with because they're on camera. And you might be asking, well, what if they brought the dog through the back gate? That's a great question. Well, if there is a back gate, I have a camera back there. And what's super interesting though is it's actually not really the camera that does the work. I mean, it's part of it, but it's the expectations when they book. So, like, I had another property come on the market. It's really interesting, and I had not gotten the Ring camera installed yet, but I plan on having it prior to their arrival date. The day that before they checked in, I got a message from the guest saying, "Hey, I have a friend that wants to come over, but they're not staying the night. Just wants to hang out, have dinner, and then they'll be leaving. I just don't want to make sure that we don't get charged an extra guest or anything like that. And you know about it." I was like, that's crazy. So I told them, I said, "Thank you so much for letting me know. It's totally fine." They hadn't seen the camera, but because I had the right things in the listing, they knew cameras would be there. And so you might ask, well, what do you put in your listing? This is what I put in mine. It works really well. Number one, I disclose the location of every single camera. There's usually only one camera. There's never more than two. But I let them know that they can use that call button when they arrive. If there's any issues unlocking the door when they get there, and it literally goes something like this in the check-in instructions. It says, if you have any problems accessing the property with the keypad or the backup lockbox, which is a whole other thing, backup lockbox, when you arrive, please hit the Ring camera button and me or someone on my team will walk you through any issues you have. This lets them know, one, that there's a camera, but it also lets them know there's more than just me communicating with them. and there's other people involved on my team. I got weird with this initially because you want to keep it personal, but I also found that like you want to make sure people know it's not just you. So if you ever need to call them, somebody on your team actually says something maybe weird in the messages, it kind of gives you that workaround. So it's been super, super useful. And so far, like this has solved like literally 99% of unauthorized pets, non-disclosed additional guests. And we immediately noticed people just taking better care of the properties and following checkout instructions better. So in addition to this, ring cameras can also be really useful for guest security. Just like my guests, I know I feel better staying in properties when there's a camera around, when it's disclosed, obviously, because they're great for security. I also like knowing, because I take really good care of properties when I stay in them, I like knowing I'm not going to get blamed for something because I'm on camera, at least on the outside. I also like using it for landscaping. So I try to position these to where you can kind of see the yards of the houses. So you can know, hey, I need to let my lawn crew know that we need to go out there and mow, or I might go mow it. Or maybe the lawn crew's on the way out there and I'm out of town and I can see it's raining, like, hey, don't go mow, that sort of thing. It's also really good for cleaning efficiencies. It's like sometimes guests forget to let us know when they've checked out. Now we can see when a guest is checked out, confirm with them, and then get our cleaning crew in there earlier. That's been super helpful. My last success story I have, and this is awesome, I think, it was almost identical situation to my first story. My cleaning crew said it looked like there was a pet there, and I didn't even go to the ring camera. I actually just messaged the guest and I said the same thing I did before. Hey there, the cleaning crew said it looked like there was a dog. Want to see if anyone at your party had brought a pet. And because I just got notice from my cleaning crew and they charge an extra $100 when there's a pet. Here is a different. I also said, I haven't had a chance to review the ring camera history yet, but I wanted to reach out ASAP with you first. And the response was great. It was OMG. It was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm sorry. Totally forgot pets weren't allowed. What's the pet fee? Do I need to pay anything else? Just send over a request and I'll get that paid." Like, there was 0 argument. And I didn't even look at the ring camera. I just mentioned it and he already knew it was there because it was disclosed. And it's amazing the accountability that it brings and how quickly it solves some issues like that with our guests. And on that one, we got a 5-star review. We gave him a 5-star review and we got our pet fee. And on that particular property, we did allow pets. We just wanted them disclosed because we do have a additional cleaning fee. I hope this is helpful. It gives you a little idea of how you can use these cameras to make your life easier, keep guests honest, check up on your property, and make it a little bit more passive. And so just to close and kind of like hit on this again, remember the use of any type of surveillance camera should always comply with local laws, regulations, and your guests should always, always be informed about where they are, respect their privacy. And I never, all caps, never put cameras inside the house. And when they're outside, it's only to view the areas where they be coming and going. And it's never like on a patio space or something like that. That's where you start getting really creepy. And so it would just be like on the exterior back gate or at the front door. But if anybody has any feedback, any stories or ideas that you have that work, would love to hear them. If you enjoy this podcast, would love to have you as a follower. Please like it. If you have a short-term rental and you're looking for some help optimizing your pricing, your efficiencies, getting the most money possible for your property, you can go to www.AirINN.life. For some of our resources, we share what we provide for our clients. You could choose to do it yourself or hire us to do it for you. Just visit us at AirINN.life, and that's AIRINN.life. And until next time, cheers.